If you were to do an event, say a wedding in a park, and you want to get some aerial shots, you can get a permit. Um, the commercial, the person that's going to be filming it could come into the parks and work something out about filming with drones in the park. Yes, sir.
Just for clarification purposes, I believe according to the FAA, you can just not take off in the parks, but you can still fly over it.
You're not supposed to fly 500 feet or above any public space.
I think you're incredibly correct about that. It's 400 feet. Anyways, whatever. But public space is the word you're using here?
What's that?
Public space? You're saying 500 feet above public space, and you're citing the FAA on that?
So FAA regulations, you can't fly the drones. You could look. I mean, you could go on and look it up. I don't know word for word. What's that?
I'm a certified drone operator. I'm familiar with the laws, and from what I understand, the majority of them are for state and federal. And yes, you have to listen to what the local organizations are saying, but as I understand it, you can't actually restrict us from flying over it. That's airspace. You can restrict us from taking off and landing.
Okay.
Follow me. Will it? Active shots, go. Away from me or towards me? Okay, we're good. It's going towards me. And it's following me. Cool. Okay. So, assuming this thing will actually keep recording me and not go into anything and is not going to get me falling into the mud here, this might just continue following me through the city, which is good and kind of the point. So, hi, my name's David Webb, and today I'm here to talk to you about Worcester drone laws, or lack thereof. Worcester cannot regulate the airspace here because Worcester does not regulate any airspace. The cities do not regulate any airspace. The people who regulate the airspace are the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration. This is relevant because last week at the Worcester Parks Department, stay the hell away from that tree, last week at the Worcester Parks Department, Jeff Tamano, whatever, the director of recreational something or other, announced that no drones allowed in Worcester Parks, also saying that was applied to all radio-controlled aircrafts. And he was talking about, one second, I want to get City Hall in the background here. If I run back, is this thing going to follow me? Nope. Well, here we go. Cool. Sorry, boy. Nope, let's keep away from the dog. So, anyways, what I'm trying to explain here is that last week at the Worcester Parks Department, the director of something services, I don't know, park services, whatever, the person who, recreation? I don't know, he has something to do with the baseball parks. Anyways, he announced that part of the new rules are no drones in Worcester Parks, which is obviously simply inaccurate, because here I am with the drone in Worcester Parks. But it's also unenforceable, because they do not regulate airspace. The FAA regulates airspace. They cannot restrict airspace. The closest really usually is like DCR can say, you can't take off or land here. But that's not something that Worcester or the Worcester Parks Department has the ability to do. Technically, if a police officer comes by and tells me I have to land this, I'm pretty sure I'm legally obligated to comply with them based on one of the FAA guidelines. But that doesn't, to my knowledge, apply to park security people, and much more importantly, cannot be written into the park rules, and then they cite and that's actually part of what's so frustrating about this. They cite the FAA guidelines, and so they already say, oh yeah, you can reference those. So in the meeting, he tried to say 500 feet above public space. And I told him he was incredibly incorrect, and at first I was apologetic, but then he tried to actually cite the Part 107 flying over people bullshit. And anyways, this is Park 1 of 3, and I'm planning on making it pretty clear that they are wrong. But while we're here, let's fly around a bunch. Okay, so now in theory it'll follow me, and hopefully not, horizontal distance, substitute short. I don't know, whatever. Either way, it's going to keep track of me, and it should listen to me. And now the whole point of this thing is, one, this drone is fucking cool. But no, more importantly, this is part 2 in Park 2. This one's Institute Park in Worcester, and the Worcester Parks Department tried to tell everyone at the special events meeting that there are no drones in parks. They said the same thing covered remote control cars and boats, and then said that this was based on an FAA regulation. Anyways, I told them at that meeting they were incredibly incorrect, and he tried to say that it was 500 feet above public spaces. Now, I couldn't find anything from the FAA or otherwise that said that. There was one thing about 500 meters one place, but it wasn't about public spaces, and no, don't return home yet. Anyways, I've got 6 minutes before I gotta land, and I'm gonna try and keep this video way shorter than that. They tried to say it was 500 feet above public spaces, and that then said, well, I don't know the exact FAA thing. And one, they should. It says in the thing to cite it's to reference the FAA, and also they're saying it's from the FAA, and they have the ability to put in the rules, so why don't they actually cite the rules they're actually citing? So, anyways, I emailed later and tried to say, hey, can you tell me what FAA thing you were quoting? Because as I understand it, you're not in charge of any airspace whatsoever. And they, cited Part 107, which is the standard, next park with another battery. Hey, so my name is David Webb, and I am hoping this thing is recording, and this drone is going to follow me, maybe, cool, this drone is going to follow me slowly. I think this drone is going to follow me as I walk around. I'm not entirely sure. Oh, it's on obstacle and avoidance. Hey, so let's try this again. This is so cool. So my name is David Webb, and I am demonstrating that it is not actually even slightly prohibited to drone in Worcester Parks. And the reason I'm having this conversation with you, this is my third park and third part of this movie. Third part is because the Worcester Parks Department says it is unlawful. It is against their rules. It is not okay. You ask permission to be permitted. It is pretty windy. Let's make sure this thing stays good. You have to get permitted by the Worcester Parks Department to do what I'm doing, which is bullshit for a lot of different reasons, but most primarily, they do not regulate airspace. The Worcester Parks Department does not, and on any uncertain terms, regulate airspace. So, for example, DCR land can restrict the takeoff and landing of drones. And, that's understandable. It's DCR land. They're protecting animals. This, I could see there's good reasons. Don't disturb the neighbors, blah, blah, blah. Don't disturb the other parks. Don't go crashing into people or trees. There's a lot of ways this can go wrong. Anyways, what I'm trying to say here is that they don't have the authority to do it, but the way they handle things is they just write shit down and then say, oh, you can't do that, we said so here. They worship the fuck out of the written word in the Worcester Parks Department. They announced it, they cited the FAA, and they have yet been unable to actually substantiate that claim. I have asked them through email multiple times. I've been sent to, from Jeff Tomiano, to Assistant Commissioner of Parks, Robert Antonelli. So, to Assistant Commissioner of Parks, Robert Antonelli, I have to say, what FAA violation? Or what FAA regulation? Because maybe there's a chance you're right, but otherwise, Dear Worcester Parks Department,